News from the Federal Emergency Management Agency this week regarding help with funeral costs for those who've lost loved ones to COVID-19. Our Mike Gillespie explains.
It's something we here at KIII have done for the better part of a year. During our nightly newscasts, we bring you the latest local COVID-19 case numbers as reported by our city-county health district. Each day, they include a nod to those whose lives have been taken by this virus. We're closing in on 750 in Nueces County, and the number swells to nearly 1,300 when you include neighboring counties. We never know the names, nor do we see the faces. We simply know that a graphic represents loss to those who are now left to honor the memory of someone they loved. Earlier this week, FEMA announced plans to reimburse those families for COVID-related funeral costs. According to a FEMA spokesperson, financial assistance will be granted to those who incurred funeral expenses after January 20th of last year for someone whose death was attributed to COVID-19. The money will be available beginning in April, and a hotline will be set up for those who would like to apply. Of course, all of this information may be found on our website, KIIITV.com. In the meantime, FEMA encourages you to begin gathering the documents that you'll need to qualify, including a death certificate and receipts from funeral expenses. If approved, the money will come directly to you. It will not lessen the pain, but it can help relieve the burden that often comes with saying goodbye. Mike Gillespie, 3 News.